Good morning, E-World. Chris is crossing some wires again. And it's high time I tell the truth about my 3,000 watt 72 volt modified Zugo Rhino. Now, as if you watch my other videos, you've heard me always say I'm using a 3,000 watt motor and a 150 amp Saviton controller dialed back to 50 amps. The truth of the matter is that is not a 3,000 watt direct drive motor. It's actually a 1,500 watt direct drive motor designed for 48 volts. Now, technically, it's a 3,000 watt motor because I'm running 72 volt system, which is pushing about 3,000 watts through it. And I believe the only difference between this 1,500 watt cheap Chinese direct drive and the cheap 3,000 watt Chinese direct drive is the phase wires. I believe the 3,000 watt motor has a lot heavier gauge phase wires. The windings may be a little different, I'm not sure, but motors, unless you get a good quality, great motor like one of those QS motors or any of the really good motors, I don't think there's much difference. As you can see, the phase wire that's coming off of this motor is pretty thick. The one that was on here when I got it was a little skinny one with I think 3 little 16 or 18 gauge wires. They were real small. So I opened up the motor. I removed those little small gauge wires and put the heaviest gauge wires I could fit in there. And technically, it should be about as comparable as a cheap 3,000 watt direct drive motor. So that's one. And two, I'm not using a Saviton controller. I'm using a cheap Chinese wannabe Saviton controller. Now, the reason why I've always stated that is, like I said, technically it is a 3,000 watt motor, and I am running about 50 amps, but it's not a Saviton, and it's not 3,000 watt. I ordered a set from Alibaba, but it's probably not going to get here till like a month and a half, so I figured I could squeak through saying that and eventually when it get here switch it out. But I see that my build is actually so efficient and running so good that when that real Saviton comes and that real 3,000 watt motor, the difference is probably going to be greater, and I'm going to have an explanation for that, because when that comes, I'll probably be kicking Onyx asses and Ceron's asses when I get a real 3,000 watt and a real Saviton controller. Now, let me show you the controller that I am running. Like I said, it's one of those little Saviton wannabe controllers. I have seen some little mini Saviton controllers that look exactly like this. And truthfully, this controller only goes up to 45 amps. I did do the little shunt mod thing, so I'm not sure. I have to put a amp meter on there to see how many amps is really running through this thing. But it's I didn't notice any difference when I did the shunt mod, so I don't think there's any difference. This actually is a really good controller for the money. But I only paid like what, 35, 40 bucks for it. I mean, I'm a DIY guy, man. I spend as less money as possible and do everything myself. Now, like I said, that other kit from Alibaba should be here sometime soon, but it takes so long. But I'm waiting on it. And as soon as that comes and I slap that up in there, and I should be good to go. Now, a 50 amp hour 72 volt, yes, I do have a 50 amp hour 72 volt battery system. That is for sure. But I think coming clean with the truth doesn't make me look bad. I think it actually makes my build look even better performance wise, because really I'm running 45, almost 50 miles an hour on a 1500 watt motor. So, it's not even getting hot, but it's wintertime. I expect in the summertime I would have to put the heat sinks on there and the ferro fluid, but I'm not going to, well, I may do that to the real one when it comes. But truthfully, when that comes, I'm taking this off and I'm going to put that on the front and the other 3000 watt motor on the rear and have a dual motor bike, and it should be off the chain with dual motors. I already feel like I can kick an aerial rider in the hind parts, and I don't feel bad about that running 72 volts. Those guys have dual motors, so I'm evening it up a little bit with one motor. But I do have much respect for those aerial riders, grizzlies, no doubt about that. As far as factory purchase e-bike that isn't a illegal dirt bike like an Onyx or a Suron, that's the best you're going to get, man. Dual motor, dual battery, and what, $2,900? That makes sense to me. $5,000-$6,000 for Onyx, and then you have to upgrade some things to, you want one of them light speed batteries and all that. By the time it's all over with, you're talking $7-8 grand. And it's not that I can't spend that, man. I can basically get what I want, but I refuse to just give my money away like that. If I'm going to spend $7-8 grand on something, I'm gonna buy a motorcycle. 7-8 grand on an electric bike is no longer making sense to me. So yeah, unfortunately, I understand that guys that don't have any DIY skills or anything, you got to do what you got to do. But I just can't see it. And a lot of those guys haven't even spent $7-8 grand on that petrol automobile. Let's face it, a lot of them young guys, they buy used cars, and their used cars don't cost $7-8 grand. Not only that, most of those guys are trying to carry it like they're Big Willie, but come to find out, they're financing them things, man. Financing them. Everything I have is bought and paid for, because I did my due diligence and shopped around and found everything for the lowest price possible. Now, come on, just think about that. You're financing a $7,000 to $8,000 e-bike. So by the time you add those finance charges and everything on there, you're talking 10-11 grand for a bike. Because at the end of the day, man, it's still a bike. It's still a steel frame or aluminum frame, whatever. What you're paying for is, to me, like I say, the knowledge of having a large amperage controller and a good motor and a large battery system. That's everything right there. That's what you're paying for. And that doesn't cost $7-8 grand. You can get the same exact motors that they have, the same exact controllers that they have, and get the same size battery systems that they have, and not even spend a third of the money, man. You can probably do all that for under $2,500. Under $2,500. And honestly, That's still a little high if you think about it. It's a bike at the end of the day. So they can act big willy all they want to, but yet they're paying payments, and they'll be paying payments for the next 6-7 years. My bike is paid for. But anyway, that's another video right there. But I just wanted to come clean on what I'm actually running, because I'm running less than what I said I was running, and I'm getting pretty good performance out of that. So I'm just waiting on that box to come from Alibaba. When that real 3,000 watt direct drive motor shows up, and that real 150 amp Saviton motor shows up, it's on. And like I said, I'm going to take that one and put it on the front. So I'm going to have dual motor setup. Yeah, this thing is going to be mean to the bone. Alright guys, that's it. I just wanted to come clean on that, because like I said, the truth actually kind of works in my favor as far as being a DIY guy, you know. I think I get more props out of saying that I'm getting those speeds and that type of performance out that little Chinese 1500 watt motor. Something else I'm going to try is, I know a lot of guys don't know about this, but if you were in the car stereo, you know you can use these big ferrite caps or super capacitors to help you're not actually adding capacity by using caps, but when you are demanding high current surges, super capacitors help on the current draw. Like back in the day